Hello, my name is Michael Moreno, and this is my presentation for Graphic Design 165 for the third project, the Olympic Trademark. Let me just share my screen real quick. Now, the main client I envisioned for this trademark would be the marketing team as well as the International Olympic Committee. These people are in charge of the entire Summer Olympics event, such as scheduling and planning, so I would hope that they would probably use my design for the extensive marketing around the Summer Olympics. This would come in the form of either banners on the side of buses, to the odd T-shirt that you would find at either gift shops or shops just outside of the event, or maybe the odd hat that one would wear in the intense heat of the Summer Olympic Games. This could also extend to the venue owners, as they would also be the ones hosting the event in their fields and cycling tracks, as they would have to dedicate the space that they own to such an event. The message I wanted to convey when it comes to this trademark was a call of attention for the Summer Olympic Games, as it is an annual sports event where millions of people will be watching. This design, I feel, would have to be the face of the event where it is taking place, and this specific one being for the capital city of Athens in the country of Greece. My main target audience for this trademark would mainly consist of those interested in sports as a whole, likely those in the late 20s age range with a love for the sports being played in these games. I see this audience as a mostly male audience, as that is what I see most sports fans being, though that doesn't mean it could be all male, just what I see as the majority. These individuals are mainly interested in sports because they enjoy seeing people perform these feats of strength, speed, and accuracy. They could also like the competitive aspect of the games that they bring. My second target audience when it comes to this trademark would be those with a love for the history of the city, most likely those in scholarly backgrounds. These could fall into the 30 years and age range when it comes to those well versed in the historical background and historical landmarks of the city. This audience would be well educated, likely being graduates in school with certificates to their name, or just about anyone who loves reading up on ancient cities and their significance. Either gender could be considered as knowledge is available for everyone. It is never too late to learn something new. And another audience I could somewhat see for this trademark to appeal to would be the citizens of Athens themselves, as they would have an appreciation for the design as it pays homage to their city's landmark being the Parthenon. As they would have lived their entire lives in the city of Athens and would know the extensive history and significance of their city's architecture. So, since they would have lived their whole entire lives in the city, the age range I see for this audience would fall in just about any range, as there would be new people born in the city to those that have grown up in the city, likely owning their own house, or those that are in the elderly stage of their lives with extensive memories of the city. I just hope that this design would be seen as a nice representation and appreciation for the city and its significance, especially when it comes to the historical significance of the Olympic Games themselves regarding this city. Now, for the design itself, it was inspired by the previously mentioned Parthenon, as shown in these examples. I was inspired by the original Olympic Games themselves, which were held in the city of Athens back in 1896. At least the first modern version of the Olympic Games, as the originals were held in honor of Zeus way back in ancient times. So with these inspirations, I wanted to have in the style of a Greek pillar with the curled capital, with the words summer and Olympic acting as the part of as the flat part on the top instead of what I had originally planned, which was a flat and looking rectangular piece holding the words. And thanks to Professor Gardosh, he helped me steer the design from being a city trademark design with a much bulkier look to it. So I slimmed it down to what we now have here. With the smaller figures below, I wanted to make them seem like neither male nor female, as that would, and let's be honest, what could be as featureless as stick figures? For the main sports I wanted to convey for the stick figures in this design, and hopefully in the Summer Olympics, were the sport of weightlifting, swimming, running, rhythmic gymnastics, and finally normal gymnastics. I chose to go with the more pen-looking strokes when it came to the line work, as I felt as though the regular round brush did look a bit too simplistic. I also enjoyed the way that it made the design look more stylized in the final result. For the typeface I used throughout the whole design, I went with Adobe Myongyo STDM, one of the Adobe supplied fonts on the Illustrator app. And this type, I felt it was a good and strong looking type for it to use for its more typographic and look and feel to it. It reminded me a bit of Times New Roman, but it had a little bit more of a slimmer look to it. I'd originally wanted to use the Trajan color, but I decided against it with the fact that the type would not be able to be colored and it was stuck on gold. I mainly wanted to chase the type here or change the type here because I felt it had a nice official look to it as it gets its point across without being too distracting. I thought that it was a type that would stand out among the design itself, with the main centerpiece being the large letters of Athens being sure to catch the attention first. For shapes used throughout this design, I utilize a lot more rounded shapes as I try to stray away from the original blocky nature of this of the design, even though it is supposed to be designed after an architectural ancient Greek pillar. The main pieces being the bowl in the center design, as I wanted to mimic the Olympic flame part of the Olympic Games, though with some liberties taken with its size, as I did not want it to be bigger than it needed to be. Probably the only other usage of organic shape I used throughout this design was the flame sitting above the Athens text, which originally I had wanted to display it behind the text, but that looked too conflicting as the gradient fire took away from the city's name. For the rounded lines jutting out of the design, I wanted to give them a sleek appearance, but still appear strong like that of a pillar. For the colors, I wanted to go simple when it came to the coloring of this design, using a lot of browns well, two browns to mimic the much the to mimic the ancient architecture of Athens. I chose to use a much darker brown to show the filling for the Olympic flame bowl at the center, as well as the text used throughout in this piece, as I wanted them to stand out in the design. For the brushstrokes symbolizing the curled capitals of the pillar, I used a lighter brown, mostly because I wanted the parts that use this color to not stand out enough to steal the attention away from the important pieces of the design. For the flame, I went with a gradient of both orange and yellow to give it a glowing fire look. And as for the rings, I went with the default CMYK colors of red, blue, green, yellow, and black. That is about it for this presentation. Thank you for listening, and this is me signing off.